Meganium finally gets a Mega Evolution in Pokemon Legends ZA, and now it's a Grass Fairy type. But no, it doesn't have Triage Draining Kiss like your Radical Red and other ROM hacks. However, Mega Meganium gets an insane 60-point increase in its special attack, and both of its defenses jumped up by 15, which means Meganium might actually have some competitive potential. They also added Earth Power to its move pool, as well as, of course, Stab, Dazzling Gleam. So let's talk about it. Meganium finally gets a Mega Evolution. Competitively speaking, it has been one of the worst starters of all time in both singles and VGC. It does have a little bit of use in draft, and we can kind of get into that when it comes to Mega Meganium in a bit. But Meganium really didn't have much going for it. It's tough to justify it over Venusaur, who has better typing because the secondary stab is nice, better move pools, access to Earth Power, access to Weather Ball and stuff. Whereas Meganium had, this generation, Meganium got some good moves, right? Let's talk about the moves Meganium got this generation, Gen 9. So it got like Knockoff, it has like Dragon Tail. I mean, I think it already had that, but it has like Body Press, it has like Encore. So like it has some pretty cool moves. Some of these it might have had before Generation 9. But it has some pretty cool moves, and that's kind of like the main thing it had over Venusaur. The ability to Dragon Tail and then Body Press was kind of it, and then Encore. So those are nice for support, and I'll say for myself that I have suffered versus this Mon in a lower tier in the past. But now Meganium finally gets a secondary typing in its Mega Evolution, and that is Fairy. On top of that, they have added things to its move pool. They added Earth Power, they added Dazzling Gleam, they added Leaf Blade. I don't think Leaf Blade matters too much when it comes to Meganium. Well, yes, it could be a Swords Dance Sweeper, but Mega Venusaur and even regular Venusaur will do that better, just because they're stronger. The big thing is the added buff to defenses and the massive buff to special attack. So again, looking at the comparison, regular Meganium 92 or 82 versus 92 attack, 100 versus 115 on both defenses, 83 to 143, and then its speed stayed the same. That 143 is crazy. That's way stronger than Mega Venusaur, way stronger, who I believe caps out at 123 base special attack. So incredibly strong in that regard. And then the Earth Power is really nice too, because Meganium can definitely make use of being able to hit steel types, especially because prior it would be like what, only Body Press, and then something like Hidden Power, depending on it, Terra Blast, depending on the metagame you're playing from there. So it didn't really have a lot going for it outside of that. I think this is really nice because Meganium has solid typing to be able to take on giant threats like Dragapult, Walking Wake as well as a big one, and Raging Bolt. So Meganium has that nice, very defensive typing for that. And I'm going to give Meganium its flowers right here. No, I mean, they gave it way too many flowers, but I'm going to give it its flowers as well. Right? It hasn't looked this good since Pokemon Snap 2, which unfortunately was nothing compared to the original Pokemon Snap. But I'm not here to drop troop bombs. I'm just here to talk about Pokemon. So, special defensive wise, this Mon is kind of a beast, especially having access to like something like Giga Drain and obviously and then Synthesis as your thing. So kind of similar to how like defensive Mega Venusaur plays. And I'll talk about the one that every single ROM hack gives it. Yes, I'll talk about Triage and talk about options like that. The Mon doesn't get no Draining Kiss though, but I'll talk about Triage and how it could work even without Draining Kiss. I think it'd actually be really good even without Draining Kiss as well. But Meganium's big thing is that it has insane defensive typing. I don't want to say insane defensive typing because Grass Fairy is okay, right? Whimsicott makes use of it because of Prankster, and like it's solid, especially when you take into account the dragons. That's the big one, right? You're checking all the dragons. Walking Wake, Raging Bolt, Dragapult, all checked. You're not doing anything to it. In fact, Meganium is actually special defensive enough that it's shrugging off a Make It Rain as well from Golden Go. So we'll just do this. Golden Go just to have that, but like Make It Rain, yeah, just doing them with that. We can make it Modest as well. Looks like Modest is just shy, yep, of the KO. So 79 and 92. So Meganium definitely has this nice defensiveness going for it. I think also one set that we've been running tournaments, myself and Blunder, on Pokemon Showdown for this metagame without anybody having abilities. And one set we've been seeing a lot of is Dragon Tail plus Knockoff. And the idea is using Meganium to get rid of all the heavy-duty boots on the opponent's team because it's really good at forcing in Pokemon and then just racking up damage. And this is something that Venusaur technically could do if it really wanted to. And we'll talk about Mega Venusaur, right? Because Mega Venusaur does have access to Knockoff, it does have access to Roar, and does have access to Giga Drain. But then its typing and its defenses, and again, I'll look at Mega Venusaur instead, but its typing and its defenses aren't enough to be able to take on the plethora of threats. Like, it has better special defense, but it's just not. Like, you're doing it with damage from Dragon Tail, and you're actually racking up damage, and you're actually doing decent damage to things too, whereas you're doing it with Roar, and Roar can be taunted, whereas this can't be. Now, is that too much of a big difference? Maybe. when it comes to this. But I think the secondary fairy typing is really nice because with this 143, they have this really big habit of not giving strong fairy types Moonblast. Like they'll give it to the week of the week, but then like Hatterene, I mean, Xerneas doesn't count, but they'll give it to like the week of the week, but then like Pokemon like Hatterene, which are insanely strong, they'll say, oh yeah, here's Dazzling Gleam because we don't want you to get Moonblast because that'd be way too strong for you. It's already one of the most broken moves in the game, which it absolutely is one of the most broken moves in the game. But I'll talk about a little bit about abilities as well. A Regenerator would be king, right? Regenerator would be king for sure. Flowers, it seems to have a bunch of them, so maybe it keeps growing them, whatever. Amazing, right? Regenerator would actually make this mon super OU viable. And again, I've been seeing it put in work. It's a Greninja check too, right? It can even check out that, I don't want it to have thick fat. Some people talk about thick fat, but like, come on, Mega Venus already has that. Don't do that. I know they basically copied the other guys, but like, in terms of stats, right? They almost flipped, like if you see the Gen 2 starters versus Gen 1 starters. But that's not fun. Triage, though, is really interesting because Meganium can get away, whoops, that should be Earth Power, but Meganium can get away with something like this with Triage. And the set could be Work Up, which it does have access to. Unfortunately, Meganium doesn't have access to like Calm Mind or anything like that. Maybe it's something it gets in the next generation, but it doesn't have access to Calm Mind. It does have access to Work Up, though, which it gets back in Pokemon Legends EA, so I would love to see something like that. And the idea that this is pretty cool is because you can naturally, with your typing, I have Cinderace right in front of us here. Cinderace is, if I'm like, let's just go bold. Let's just go defensive, right? Just because we can go defensive right here. So if you're just bold, max HP, Cinderace doesn't even kill you, but I'm going to show you how much your Earth Power does at neutral to Cinderace. This is offensive Cinderace taking 0 special attack investment. You're doing 74 to 87. I'm not trying to overhype this Pokemon because it's Meganium. It's my least favorite starter. But that's only just because I don't like the way Meganium looks. I'm not even talking about Mega Meganium. Mega Meganium is whatever. You just flamingoed. Like I was thinking Don Flamingo, by the way, not actual Flamingo. Don Flamingo Meganium, cool, whatever. But the fact that neutral Earth Power is doing this much, and that my Giga Drain after will kill most of the time. Obviously, if I'm +1, it's a different story. But most of the time is pretty crazy, right? It's pretty crazy. So I love this for that, and I feel like that'd be fine even if it doesn't end up getting Draining Kiss. Obviously, if it gets Training Kiss, it'd be a lot better for it. But I'm not gonna hold out for for anything like Triage at all. But obviously, having the priority healing in Synthesis and the priority healing in Giga Drain, I think is really good. Like the +3 priority is really cool. Like you'd go faster than Extreme Speed with this Pokemon. It's bulky enough to really make use of it. I also want to note, like Meganium still has access to things like Curse too. I think Encore can be really nice as well for it because it has that good speed tier. And like you could still run faster than this. This is also very viable, right? This is very fast, and you could run something like literally this with either Synthesis. So it's basically Mega Venusaur. Mega Venusaur doing this, but you're naturally checking things like Dragapult and like Lotties and stuff like that, which is Dazzling Gleam and Earth Power. So like offensive Mega Venusaur has done this. It's also done this with Modest too. But the difference is you could also run Encore as one of the moves. And what Encore will allow you to do is it can lock like a Raging Bolt into Calm Mind. It can lock a defensive Pokemon like Corviknight into Roost or anything like that. So I do think it has viability. And I think obviously the ability will make it either really good or at least average. But at this point, they've definitely made a Meganium that's not terrible, is what I'm trying to say, right? Like this is definitely a better Pokemon than regular Meganium. And it's typing on them on like... Let me show you the Grass Fairies, right? Let's go Grass plus Fairy, right? So we got Grass Fairy right here, right? We got Whimsicott, we got Cottony, and then we got Bulu and Shiinotic. Shiinotic is a failed experiment of Amoonguss. Doesn't work out, unfortunately. The lack of HP, and honestly, that's the big thing for it. It doesn't work out for it. It doesn't have Regenerator either. Talbulu is cool. Rillaboom a little better, but that's only because of the priority and stuff like that. And then you have Whimsicott, which I said is basically only priority the Mon, right? Whimsicott has like no defensive stats. 85, 75 with base 60 is nothing. But when you go to this 80, 115, 115, you actually have a Mon that while it lacks the Prankster, it has the defensive typing to be able to take on the fighters, you're neutral to U-turn as well, which is pretty cool. So you can actually switch on them. You have heals as well in Synthesis and Giga Drain. So I actually think this has a lot of viability, especially because you're going to bait in a lot of... Like, there's only so many Pokemon that can come in on Giga Drain, Earth Power, Dazzling Gleam, and all of them are susceptible to knockoff. I mean, every mon is susceptible to knockoff unless you have, like, you know, the ability, a Sticky Hold or something like that. But They're always susceptible to knockoff, which will actually open it up a lot. Which is why, again, in tournaments, what we have been seeing, and these are just community-run tournaments, we have been seeing Dragon Tail knockoff putting some work, even versus Stall, and you being able to get spikes up. So I'm kind of excited for Mega Meganium, and I'm hoping that we get a lot of good out of this Pokemon. But let me know your thoughts down below. Again, the really big abilities, Regenerator, Triage, yes. But is there anything that you think this Pokemon should specifically get based on how it looks as well that would make it better? Let me know down below. Also, if y'all would know, I do have merch available. We have very limited on it too. But if you want to pick it up, feel free to use code AIM for 10% off. We have the 40-ounce stainless steel Draco, Mega Draco shaker, which I have right here, right on the floor. Keep your cold stuff cold, which is real nice. And we also have the Dragonite, Mega Dragonite hoodie, the Greninja hoodie, and you can look at them alone. They're all embroidered, as well as the Victory Bell hoodie, which I'm kind of like blocking right there. But link is down below. Use code AIM to save. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.